Hi everybody. Today we're going to talk about arc length. So we've talked about arc measure quite a bit. Remember, arc measure is how much of a turn of the circle that the arc is, whereas arc length is the distance of the arc. So do not confuse the term arc length with arc measure. Okay, we learned earlier that the arc measure is equal to the measure of the central angle. So it's like if I was standing here at O and I was looking at A and then I turned so that I'm now looking at B, what's the angle that I made? That's the arc measure. Okay, so the arc measure of arc AB right here is 95 degrees because the central angle is 95 degrees. Now the arc length is the distance that I would have to walk if I was to start here at A and walk around the circle to point B. In that case, that would be 13.2645 units. Okay, and I would find that by taking part of the circumference, so we'll just call it C, but that would be 95 360ths times the circumference, so 2 pi times 8. Okay, so if I multiply that out, let's just do it to make sure that I got this right here. That'd be 16 pi times 95 divided by 360. Bam, 13.2645. Okay, so there you go. This becomes that. All right, so there's the difference between the arc length and the arc measure. Arc measure is usually easier thing to find. Okay, find the length of an arc. So the arc length is n out of 360, and this is n right here, the central angle, times the diameter times pi, or it could be 2 pi times the radius. That's what I did on the last page, where n is the number of degrees of the central angle. So first we're going to find the measure of WX, and that's easy. Arc WX, that's easy. It's the same as the central angle. It's 135 degrees. Nobody should ever miss that question on test. Okay, now find the arc length. So remember arc length, I'm finding that distance right there. Okay, so that arc length, we'll call it A, is going to be 135 out of 360 times the diameter, which the radius is 12, so the diameter would be 24 times pi. Okay, so now I get out my calculator. 135 divided by 360 times 24 pi. And I get, that comes out to be approximately 28.27, and my units, I had no units, so it'd just be units. Okay, so there you go. That's how you find your arc length. All right, so find the measure of arc GK. So I need this arc right here. Find the measure of that. Piece of cake. Okay, now, I don't have a central angle, but I do have an inscribed angle. And remember that the arc is always twice the inscribed angle. So that's going to be 32 times 2, which is 64 degrees. Okay, that was easy. Now I got to find the arc length. Okay, so the arc length, I need to know the central angle, which is, by the way, right here. Okay, remember that's going to be the same as the intercepted arc, so this is going to be 64 degrees. So the arc length is going to be 64 out of 360 times the diameter. Now the radius is 15, so the diameter is 30 times pi. Okay, 64 divided by 360 times 30. Here, I think I typed that in wrong. 64 divided by 360 times 30 pi. And that comes out to about 16.755. And check your units. It's in inches, so that's going to be in inches. Okay, easy peasy. All right, here's an interesting one. Find the radius of the circle here. Now, you might say, well, there's no connection between the radius, but there is. Okay, so what do they give you? You got to look down here, and you see, hey, arc AB is 625 pi inches. So this arc right here, 625 pi inches. That's the arc length. Okay. Now, here's what I want to do. This is the center of the circle right here. I'm going to go ahead and do this and this. Okay, now both of these are R. Okay, that's what I want to find. So now, what do I know? Well, I know that this is 100 degrees, and I know that this is 210 degrees, and I know that the circle has 360 degrees in a complete circle. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract out that 210. That leaves me with 150. And then I'm going to subtract out this 100, and that leaves me with 50. Now, that's going to be evenly split between this arc here and that arc there. How do I know that? Because these are parallel lines, and so these two arcs are exactly the same length and the same measure. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to divide it by 2, and I'm going to get 25. So that means that this arc is 25 degrees, and this arc is 25 degrees. That makes 360 all the way around. And if this arc is 25 degrees, that central angle right there is also 25 degrees. Okay, now what do I know? Well, I know that an arc length is equal to n divided by 360 times the diameter times pi. Okay, so the arc length is 625 pi. I can put that in here for A. I know that n is 25 degrees, so 25 out of 360. And that leaves diameter times pi right here. Okay, so I can solve for the diameter. So here's a nice thing. I got a pi on both sides, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel those out. Then I'm going to take this whole equation and multiply it by 360 over 25. Where did I get that? Right here. Now, what's going to happen? On this side of the equation, the 25 is going to cancel the 25. The 360 is going to cancel the 360. Okay, remember, do unto one side as you do unto the other. So this is going to cancel this. This is going to cancel this. It's going to leave me with D over here. Okay, over here, I'm going to get 625 times 360 divided by 25. That comes out to 9,000. It's a nice number. 9,000 what? That would be inches. Isn't that inches? Yeah, inches. So the diameter is 9,000 inches. So then I need to, remember, I need to find the radius, not the diameter. So the radius is going to be half of that. It's going to be 4,500 inches. And I'm done. Okay. That was fun. And we have a short little assignment for you today. So enjoy that. I will talk to you guys at a later date.